This presentation looks at theocracy as an extension of a condition or state of being known as monism, a spiritual intelligence that is attained by way of what was once the domain of the spiritual sciences kept in secret. This, by good reason, has guarded the secret doctrine, as is now revealed in our times, as the unfolding evolution of soul consciousness into the here and now. The age of light is descending, and the inner being is awakening, a becoming of being itself. Monism, defined this way, according to RUDOLF STEINER'S view from the perspective of the spiritual sciences, reveals the inherent spirit impulse that is hidden deep within humanity itself, the longing for expression in becoming the one true being. That human freedom is found within the inner temple of the soul is power itself, and mastery of this self is still the inner work of the modern initiate. The faculties of spiritual insight that lead to transformation, not knowledge alone, but imagination in the sense of creative power, and intuition based upon immediate direct knowing from the sources of the spiritual world, is attained by developing an inner dialogue with the spiritual intelligence. A dialogue nurtured and maintained throughout meditation, the doorway to stillness of the mind is gradually opened. Our power of thought, thinking itself, the most powerful unseen forces of change that shape our existence, is reflected back upon us of our own making. This spirit impulse of divine inspiration to act according to the will of being itself, as the source of spiritual intelligence, comes through us as an act of creation. This faculty of spiritual insight RUDOLF Steiner calls intuitive thinking. RUDOLF Steiner says in the following quote, "Thus, thinking is characterized as that factor through which man works his way spiritually into reality. Once experienced, the world of spiritual perception cannot appear to mankind as something foreign, because in intuitive thinking, or spiritual intelligence, he already has as experience which is purely spiritual in character, for it shows that the experience of thinking, when rightly understood, is in fact an experience of the spirit. This presents intuitive thinking as mankind's inwardly experienced spiritual activity. To understand this nature of thinking by experiencing, it amounts to a knowledge of the freedom of intuitive thinking." RUDOLF Steiner says in the following quote, "Thus, thinking is characterized as that factor through which man works his way spiritually into reality. Once experienced, the world of spiritual perception cannot appear to mankind as something foreign, because in intuitive thinking, he already has as experience which is purely spiritual in character. For it tries to show that the experience of thinking, when rightly understood, is in fact an experience of the spirit. This presents intuitive thinking as mankind's inwardly experienced spiritual activity. To understand this nature of thinking by experiencing it amounts to a knowledge of the freedom of intuitive thinking." Theocracy and Monism. Steiner's conclusions from extensive research and experimentation in the spiritual sciences provocatively reveals astonishing potential for true spiritual knowledge and complete transformation of the human spirit. Embedded within the nature of mankind itself, at the very heart of the human spirit, this divine seed within carefully and purposefully cultivated and nurtured within the soul of mankind, regenerates within a new spiritual being, the human spirit. Rudolf Steiner continues, mankind does not take the purposes of an objective, transcendentally primordial being and make them his own, but he pursues his own individual purposes given him by his moral imagination. The ideas that realize itself in action is detached by mankind from the unitary world of ideas and made the basis of his will. Therefore, it is not the commandments injected into this world from the beyond that live in his action, but human intuitions, through developing intuitive thinking, belonging to this world itself. Monism knows no such world dictator who sets our aims and directs our actions from outside. Man finds no primal ground of existence, who counsels he might investigate in order to learn from it the aims to which he has to direct his actions. He is thrown back upon himself. It is he himself who must give content to his action. If he looks outside the world to which he lives for the grounds determining his will, he will look in vain. Monism herein describes, synthesizes the world of the senses with true understanding of our nature as spiritual beings, and as our great potential as a new being of spiritual ascension. To this end, monism no longer recognizes an external source of authority out there, because it is not found there, nor its authenticity. Our identity, as defined by the physical world of existence, is limited only by our own creative power. The naive realism of the world of appearances is falling to a new understanding of our place in the divine hierarchy, an unfolding of a new age of enlightenment, the descent of the dove of divine wisdom, the heavenly Sophia. The dawn of the new age no longer seeks authority in an external source that no longer resides there. In our own world of generated existence, the external source of authority ceases to exist when found within. One is no longer subject to the effects of naive realism. What we respond to influences the outcome. Liberty of the individual is emancipation of the human spirit, and for this transformation of true freedom, mastery of the self is still essential. The spiritual intelligence that grows from intuitive thinking engenders true freedom of the human spirit, cultivating that spirit impulse within as its source.